Today we're going to be talking about Chet Garthwaite's book, They Are in My Genes. It's been out for quite a while, but I think there are people that still haven't had the enjoyment or the chance to perhaps read the book. And we do have a copy of that down here in our history book, and that can be requested through the public library just by calling or anything like that. So there's no problem that way. We'll be covering about his life here probably in two different parts. There's so much we'd like to do, but we know the time is limited and we don't want to spend too much time in just one spot. We'll be looking here next at a picture of him in the Army during World War II. And that's important. That will be important, especially in the second part when we get to see a picture of him with one of his special friends that he worked with for a long time there in World War II. So that will be very important to us later on. I'd like to read a little bit about Chet's childhood. There are a couple theories about my birth. I first heard that an exhausted, confused stork dropped me off on a farm in Mount Hope Township about 8:30 p.m., July 25th, 1919. Then later I heard another version, that Dr. Howell of Fenimore came to the farm home about noon on July 25, and by 8:30 p.m., after a rather difficult delivery, presented an 8½ pound male to Mabel Jeanette Rowden Garthwaite and said, "I'm sorry, Mabel, this is the best I can do. Better luck next time." My father, Harry Lee Garthwaite, looked at the 21½ inch creature he was responsible for and said, "Well, at least with all the help that showed up here today, we did get all the oats cut and shocked, so it isn't all that bad." Then Grandpa John Rowden and Grandma Lillian Tuckwood Rowden looked at their first grandchild. I still have no idea why they jerked the screen door off in their haste to get to the front door. Then Uncle Glenn Rowden came in to look at his first nephew. I was too young to understand his comments. Now you can choose the method of delivery you prefer. I naturally can't remember when my little sister Ivanelle arrived 22 months after me, but I do remember that the family always joked about doing everything on the 25th. My parents were married on the 25th of November, 1916. Then I was born on July 25th, and Ivanelle on May 25th, 1921. That tradition has carried on in later years. As a grandfather of 18 children, I'm certain that the story of my childhood may seem terribly boring to them. There was no television, so no Saturday morning cartoons. We did get a battery-operated radio when I was about 9 years old, and we had a really nice phonograph, Edison, with some funny records. Don't feel too sorry for the poor old grandpa. My childhood was not at all unhappy. Maybe we had to start working a little younger than you, and we usually walked 3/4 of a mile to school carrying a cold lunch, but we had fun just like you do. My sister and I had lots of attention from grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins just like you do. Some of those relatives could tease us a little, but you wouldn't understand that. One of the first experiences I had that made me realize I was the big guy was when my mother took me in the buggy driving old Vic down to the Hall 80 from the 80 acres south of our lower 40 to pick berries. Little Ivanel was too small to go and stayed with Bertha Edge, who helped Mom for a couple of years before Bertha married. Mom let me hold the lines and drive Vic, but I didn't much care for the briars on the berry bushes. Now this goes on considerably, but I think it gives you a little taste of what he's like. He expresses himself quite well there and brings out humor and the fun, even though life was different and hard at times. I think now we will take a look at the family picture. In the front there, from the left, standing is David. Seated are Janet and Nancy. Standing there on the right is Paul. In the second row, we have Betty, Eugenia, and Susan. In the back row, there's Judy, Chet, Carol, and I might mention about Carol, she provided many pictures for us. We won't get to see them all, but she did a nice job of helping us out, very nice. And you see Margaret there at the end. Now I would like to read an article. I don't know when it was written. Unfortunately, no date was put down. It was in a clipping that we found in a kind of a photo notebook. And this was appeared in the Telegraph Herald, and gives us a good idea a little bit about Chet's life and about the book and the attention that it got at first. The title is Accidental Author is Tom's Answer to Garrison Keillor. Chet Garthwaite may well be Finnemore's answer to Garrison Keillor. While Keillor spins yarns about Lake Winnebago, Minnesota, his mythical hometown, in books and radio broadcasts, Garthwaite tells tales about his life in Mount Hope, Mineral Point, and Finnemore. And Garthwaite is astonished at the reaction to his autobiographic, They Are in My Genes. I got the big head, said Garthwaite, 70 at the time. It was hard to get out a single door there for a while. Garthwaite wrote a conversational style account of his life for his 9 children and 18 grandchildren, never dreaming that anyone else would be interested, he said. The minimum press run was 250 books. The first printing was done in May, and nearly all copies are gone. He expects the second printing shipment to arrive any day. The little Mount Hope Cafe has peddled most of them, he said. It isn't totally serious, he said of his book. People seem to be amused. The book covers little human incidents about growing up on a Mount Hope farm, courting his wife Eugenia, going to college at what is now the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, serving in the Army during World War II, and raising 9 children. Garthwaite farmed for 32 years in rural Mount Hope. Then he lived in Mineral Point during a 6-year stint as a farm trainer for Southwest Wisconsin Technical College. Now he's retired in Finnemore. Remember that this was written many years ago. Area people, especially those who lived through the same era, are eager readers of Garthwaite's memories. And of course, his popularity continued for a very long time after that. And you'll see one of the last pictures here that I'd like to show on this part. Of course, we see Garth there and Chet there in later years. And we'll be seeing some more of him in part 2 of our presentation about his book and his life.